Hey there, let's look at 4.a. Notes factoring trinomials with a greater than 1. That means that our coefficient of x squared is going to be greater than 1. Like, for example, number 1, we have 2x squared. For example, number 2, we have 3x squared. So now that we don't have just a plain old 1, which we actually don't usually even see, we just don't have an x squared anymore. We got a multiplier in front of it. It's going to get trickier. And so for 4.4a, we're going to show you one method. For 4.4b, we're going to show you another method. And then you can choose what you're having more success with. So, just a reminder, we take these two numbers, where I'm making the green, we multiply them together to get our C term. So if our C term is positive, then either both numbers are positive, or if C is positive, both numbers could be negative. But now we can actually get a little more precise. If you look a little further to this number, this is the number we try to add to. If we were trying to add to a positive, and we already know that we need to multiply to a positive, then both numbers have to be negative. That's a positive. Both numbers have to be positive. If we're multiplying to a positive, but those two numbers add to a negative, then they both have to be negative. I'll show you down there. All right. I'm going to try to factor example number 1 here in a second. And this is what we call the guess and check method. We're going to try to multiply to get this 2x squared, and we're going to try to multiply to get this 3. Now, as you remember from factoring last section, when we multiply to get a trinomial, it's usually because we're multiplying two binomials together. Meaning a binomial means two terms in each parentheses. So we're going to place factors of, that's not a highlighter, we're going to place factors of the ax squared term in the first position of binomials. So our first positions right here, you know, last time we were getting an x squared, so we added an x times an x. But we don't want x squared, we want 2x squared. So I'm going to put a multiplier of 2 in front of that one. Sorry, that looks a little messy. Let's fix that up. I'm going to put a multiplier of 2 in front of the first x. You could do it in front of the second x instead. That would also get you 2x squared. Then, here, I need those blue parts to multiply to the 3 when I FOIL this together. So, place two possible factors of my C, which in this case is 3, in the second position. So ways to multiply to 3, 1 and 3, 3 and 1, negative 1, negative 3, negative 3, negative 1. Now I know that here, from our last section, you guys would say that this is redundant because it adds to 4 either way, and this group is redundant because it adds to negative 4. But in this case, the order is going to matter. Like all 4 of these are going to make different outcomes. So I'm going to try this one. This is going to be what we call a guess and check method. So I'm going to put, I shouldn't put an X there. I'm going to try this one first. So positive 1 and then positive 3. How do we know if it's right? We check it. Now, we need this to multiply to 7x. So we're going to do what we call the smiley face checker. We're going to check the inners. This is the inner. And check the outer. See how it kind of makes a big smile? So this is 1x, and the outer gives you 6x, which equals 7x. See that? Equals 7x. And that's what we wanted to get. So this, folks, is the right answer. It can be that easy. By the way, this time we're multiplying to a positive, so that means either both numbers are positive or both numbers are negative. Well, actually I should have known that it's going to be one of these two options because they multiply to a positive and they add it to a positive. Now for number 2, It's going to get a little messier because we're trying to multiply to a negative here. So that means we're going to have 1 plus and 1 minus. But let's get there in a second. Let's first start with the 3x squared. That's going to be a 3x times a x, or an x times a 3x. But I'm going to leave it this way. Now I'm going to think about ways to multiply to negative 2. I could do 1 and negative 2, negative 1 and positive 2, 2 and negative 1, negative 2 and positive 1. So not only are we switching which number gets the negative, like here, it's a negative 2 and positive 1, we also should write down switching the order of those numbers. And again, this pair is really the same numbers, but we switch the order. Because I've got a 3 with this x, and this x only's got a 1, the order of my smiley face, or the order of those values, is going to change the outcome of the smiley face check. You'll get the hang of it. We got this. Here we go. So let's try one. Let's try positive 1 and negative 2. It's my first option up here, option number 1. Smiley face check, 1x, negative 6x. That equals negative 5x. Is that what we want? Oh, shoot. We want a positive 5x. That means something, so maybe there's a way to get that. This gives me, maybe I could write that down. This gives me a negative 5x. All right, let's try the next one. So I'm going to erase my check. And now I'm going to try negative 1 and negative 2. Sorry, negative 1, positive 2. I'm going to try option number 2. Negative 1, positive 2. Here we get negative 1x, and we get positive 6x, which makes 5x. Hooray! That works. It gives us positive 5x, and that's what we wanted for this middle term. We already know that multiplying the blues together gives you 3x squared, and multiplying the yellows together gives you negative 2. And then we just saw that when we do the other multiplications, the inner and the outer, it gives us 5x. So we are good. Nice work. Alrighty, let's try number 3. So start with the 2x squared. We'll do 2x and x. Next, go to ways to multiply it to positive 1. It's going to be negative 1 and negative 1, or positive 1 and positive 1. And since these numbers are exactly the same, like switching the order here wouldn't actually matter. Typically, it does matter. And here's, folks, where if we go up to the top of our notes, trying to multiply to a positive, which are these two options, but they add to a negative. So I know it has to be a minus and a minus. So it has to be this option, minus 1, minus 1, right? Let's check it. Let's make sure. I mean, again, I know that this multiplies to 2x squared, and I know that this multiplies to positive 1. Let's see what we get here. We get negative 1x, and we get negative 2x. That equals negative 3x. That's right. Example number 4, we have 3x squared, so that's got to be 3x and x. Think about ways to multiply to 3, and, well, I'm going to write it down. Ways to multiply to 3 are this. But because we're trying to multiply to a positive and add to a positive, I know the signs have to be the same to multiply to a positive. I know they both need to be positive to add to a positive. What I'm trying to say is it matches these signs up here. See that? So it has to be positive, positive, which means I can eliminate these two options from my list. So I actually only have 2 options to try, plus 1, plus 3. With intuition, folks, with practice, you learn which options have a better chance of making it. But that just takes practice. So we get 1x and 9x. That makes 10x. That is the correct one. This is the correct one, so this is my correct answer. If you would have tried this one first, which isn't going to be right, so I'm going to cross it out. But if you would have tried that one first, you would have gotten, looks like 6x, not 10x. So you'd have to retry and go with that one. All right, next one. Only way to get 5x squared is by taking a 5x and times it with an x. Ooh, so here we're trying to multiply to positive 2. So we get 1 and 2 or 2 and 1. And if you're like, well, you could do both negatives, remember, that actually isn't going to work here because I'm trying to multiply to a positive, so the signs have to match, and I have to add to a positive. So the negatives don't work. So let's do plus 1 and plus 2. Let's see what we get. We get 1x and 10x, which makes 11x. Hey, so this is the right answer. If I would have tried, so that's the right answer. I don't need to circle that. I'm just saying that that worked. If I would have tried this one first, I would have gotten 2x and 5x. I think I would have gotten 7x, which doesn't match it, so that one I can cross off as well. Man, this has been nice that the first option we've been trying has been working. And that's kind of just luck. All right, next one. Let's do 2x times x. That gets you 2x squared. How do I multiply to negative 15? Well, there's quite a few options here. Negative 1 and 15. 1 and negative 15. Negative 15 and positive 1. Positive 15 and negative 1. And then 3 and negative 5. Negative 3 and positive 5. Negative 5, positive 3. Let's see here. So I got to keep the 5 there and then move the negative over there. That's good. Thinking about ways to do different combinations, folks. Alrighty. Where should we start here? Now I notice, folks, that this one is only twice as big as that one. Sometimes you're going to have like a way larger number in place of that too, where it makes things way more drastic. So because these numbers are fairly close, and because when I do the smiley face check, the difference in the inner and the outer, one's going to be positive, one's going to be negative. I shouldn't say the difference. Then when I add up the positive x and the negative x, it makes a negative 1, which isn't very drastic. These numbers here are drastic to me. There's a drastic difference between 1 and 15, or factoring in the negative than 1 and negative 15, or vice versa. These are less drastic. So I'm feeling really good about the red box. I'm going to try with those numbers first. And with practice, you start to see how it's going to work. I need the negative to win out. So I'm going to try. I see the answer, and I'm just trying to do something different for a second here. I'm going to try a negative 5 here. And if I do negative 5 on the right, I have to do positive 3 right here. So it's this one that I'm trying, and I get 3x and negative 10x in the outer, which gives you negative 7x. And that's not what I want, so I'm going to cross that off. All right, so let's try the next one then. Negative 3, negative 3, positive 5. So here we get negative 3x and positive 10x. Oh, doesn't that just give me the opposite, I believe? So, maybe I can keep those kind of close together, and when I know that I have the opposite, I just switch the negative. All right, so let's not go there. Let's cross that off. Option 2 didn't work. Erase. And try this one instead. I know I'm switching it up. positive 5, negative 3. So we're going to get 5x and negative 6x gives you negative 1x. Hey, that worked out. Yeah, just in time, negative 1x, and that's what we want. So there we go. Hypothetically, say you wanted a positive 1x, then if you switch these signs, that would switch the sign on that end result from your smiley face check. All right, guessing and checking.